Hello everyone. So when people think about growing their wealth, they naturally tend to aim really high and get all excited about getting started on this journey. But there is though one area that I think a lot of people forget, and that's to take a really good look at where you are now. Where's your starting point? You wouldn't climb a mountain without thinking about perhaps what kit you've got already versus what kit you need to have, and neither should you climb the sort of metaphorical investment mountain either without doing the exact same exercise. Now, if you're investing in, say, a family unit or with the goal of creating family wealth, then this is even more important to you because you've got some additional variables and people to consider. So broadly, there's three categories of stuff, in my view, that I think you should think about before you embark on any long-term investing journey. And these three variables are your mind, your knowledge, and your financial strength, in that order. So first of all, your mind. Now, I've mentioned in previous videos and articles that knowing your own mind is one of the real keys to long-term investing success. And this can play out in a few different ways. So firstly, there's your ability to choose the right investments for you and the decision-making process that lies behind that. Investing can be quite decision heavy at times. So you might find yourself having to make lots of decisions, probably with an incomplete set of information or data. That happens, and sometimes these decisions need to be made quite quickly. Now, there are some investors of the sort of fire and forget variety, i.e. they'll buy something and then essentially forget about it. That's fine, that requires a different kind of mindset and is great for small amounts of money. But if you're investing a big proportion of your income or your overall assets, chances are you'll need to be able to consistently make balanced and hopefully rational decisions. Now, secondly, long-term investing is great, but it does require you to keep going through some really quite tough times. To see that long-term goal, you've got to get through the short-term pain. Now, your mental resilience is a significant part of that, and you really shouldn't underestimate it. So the second point I mentioned was knowledge. So perhaps a better term for this might be your sort of circle of competence. So investing in something that you don't understand is a really efficient way to lose a lot of money, which of course isn't really the aim of this exercise. So it's really vital for you to undertake an honest appraisal of where your skill set lies. Once you've got a good steer on what you are and are not knowledgeable about, then you've got a decision to make. You can either keep within your circle of competence, or you can expand it and you can learn about any weak areas, or you can still invest in these areas, new areas or sectors if you want, but I'd suggest you look at doing it through an investment professional or a fund manager that does know this area very well. The absolute last thing you need is to get very heavily invested in something that you don't fully understand. As I've seen it go wrong before, if it does go wrong, you'll find that the decision making very, very difficult because you're operating on shaky ground. Now, if it goes right, that might well be down to pure luck. It might be your investment prowess, but be careful about what you take credit for. So an example of this might be, for example, investing in China or emerging markets. So if you understand them, then great. You might want to tackle investing in this area yourself. But if, however, you don't fully understand the intricacies of it, but you want exposure for some sort of high-level reasons, such as an asset allocation call, for example, seek out a professional would be my advice. Now, one behavioural bias that I'm always aware of is overconfidence bias. We always tend to think that we are above average at everything. And of course, by definition, we can't all be above average. Our interest here is to compound our returns at a high rate over inflation over a long period of time, not necessarily to be the master of the stock market and have the ego that goes with it. Now, thirdly, I mentioned financial strength. So in our audit of where we are now, we've taken a look at our mental state and we know our circle of competence, and we're quite happy with where both those elements are. And last but by no means least is your financial strength. So if you're a numbers person or you like things in black and white, then this is probably the section of this video that you might be most comfortable with. So what financial strength do you need to start investing? Now, you might be thinking that perhaps financial strength is the end goal rather than the starting point, but actually you need to start with at least some kind of strength or resilience in this area. So let me explain a little bit further. Now, markets can move around quite a bit, and when large falls happen, they can sometimes last a while. Sometimes markets snap back quite quickly, but you've got to assume it's going to last a while. The thing you really do not want to do is, having taken the time to choose your investments carefully, they subsequently go down in value due to some kind of short-term market factors, and either due to perhaps other financial commitments, for argument's sake, then you then have to sell those investments and crystallize that loss. This is eroding value, it's not creating it, and it can really be quite destructive to your financial life. So in broad terms, you should really think twice about investing if, let's say, for example, you've got lots of unsecured debt, so credit cards and the like, or if you don't have a rainy day cash reserve fund of, I'd suggest, at least 6 months of expenses, or if you have any big cash requirements, so things like school fees, for example, that you can't fund out of cash savings. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list, but it should give you a bit of a steer as to how to build the foundations for essentially a decent base, which you can then build on. So as always, I really hope that what I've gone through here can help you in your own investing and financial journey. And if you found this useful, please do like, comment and share. I really appreciate it. Thank you.